Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So what is accreditation? Accreditation is the process of validating the institution or personnel, evaluating them. The healthcare industry, health personnel, and health institutions are accredited. Its capability has been ascertained by both the medical staff organization and the appropriate medical board, and give medical staff privileges which clearly delineate each procedure. Whereas institutions are accredited and have themselves through a process that shows they provide. Accreditation in the healthcare industry is technically voluntary, and they put themselves through it. However, the quality of the hospital in the public's eye is oftentimes determined by their accreditation. Several websites, including consumerreport.com, judge hospitals heavily on their accreditation. Certain credit also bring with them great opportunity for funding, possible discounts with certain insurances. Impact to that of the board certification for physicians. So when physicians are board certified, it gives them prestige and opportunity, practice in areas where they otherwise couldn't. An example of prestige would be that patients are much more likely to seek out board certified specialists because they're perceived as more competent. An example of opportunity is without passing the appropriate medical boards, it's unlikely that a specialist would be affiliated at the hospital. And then from the hospital perspective, when a hospital gains accreditation, it gains prestige, which brings opportunity. An example of prestige is that there are several sites the hospital's quality according to their accreditation, again, such as consumerreport.com. And also people are more, and then an example of opportunity is that people are more likely to go to an accredited hospital when given the choice, gives them an opportunity for profit and growth.
Okay, so my participation in this tonight is what is the role of ISO, the International Organization of Standards, in this process? We're still talking about the process of accreditation. The International Organization of Standardization, ISO, is a worldwide organization that develops several different types of standards. The standard that we're looking at is 9001 2008. It uses an 11-step program to implement a several-month project to plan. And this includes an evaluation of all the processes in the hospital. It evaluates the processes, it measures the processes, and implements training programs and internal audits to establish a quality management system. It's exactly this quality management system that they're trying to establish. You're trying to create this organization as a system of interrelated processes. And so how these processes interrelate, and you set the goals and you measure these processes, you make the improvements so that your quality management can be up to standards. Once the system is in place and it's working for several months, the auditors will come and give the seal of approval from the ISO. And this shows that the market that the provider is qualified and approved by the ISO, and this is an international accreditation. We had Mary, who actually did call the Madison Memorial Hospital, and she said that the person that she spoke to didn't know the answer to the question. However, my good colleague here, Derek, was also able to speak to the CEO of his hospital, Debbie Flores, and she said that the JCAHO is considered the highest standard, and that's what their hospital wanted to reach for the highest standards possible.
Okay, and that's the end of our quick presentation here.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being able to cover that and getting on. We had some technical difficulties, but that is okay. That's just how it works, right? when we kind of deal with the technology. Really quick, I just wanted to ask each of you, or both of you, what the most interesting thing was that you learned as you were studying this topic. So, we'll start with you, Mark, and then Derek, you can go ahead and answer it after Mark.
Sure.
I thought that the most interesting thing that I learned from this this lesson was the fact that there were other options other than the Joint Commission. And like I discussed in the beginning of our conversation, I was kind of curious to understand why somebody would choose the ISO over the Joint Commission. I'm assuming that there would be some financial concerns, and I'd like to know what the weight of those financial concerns would actually be. But I didn't really know that there were other options, and I have worked with ISO and other companies as well. But of course, in a healthcare setting, I haven't worked with them. So I was kind of curious to see how that implementation process and how they would work that in the hospital. That was probably the most interesting part of the studies that I did for this week.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So for me, it's the thing that really struck me most was how accreditation and board certification are really similar. I mean, at the same time, pretty different. So, like to be honest, like if you don't pass your medical boards, you're not really going to practice very many places. Like, talk to, it's another part of they consider it just another part of the certification of becoming a doctor. It's not even an over and above kind of thing. Whereas, and with all of the major hospitals, they usually go with the Joint Commission as well. But it's more of a public perception than it is an actual requirement. And that's the case for both. But anyway, I find it really interesting that it all comes down to public perception.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I agree. That's really what it comes down to. It's that gold, with the Joint Commission, it's that gold standard that they want the public to perceive them as, having that gold standard. So,
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to stop.